What does it feel like to be tangled up in knots? Do you know that your internal knots feel like a weight holding you down and are stopping you from moving forward? The solution is now. Welcome to Untangled and Free with Joan, to get the tangled knots out of your life and fast forward to the freedom you deserve. The bottom line is this: we all have knots and tangles. The question is, what are they and why are they here? Knots in your finances, your relationships, your beliefs. Which one do you want to pick up today and untangle? During this hit show, Joan guides you on a pathway to experience the freedom to live an untangled life of peace, love, joy, abundance, and more. Maybe you don't even know where to start. Let's start together now on Untangled and Free with Joan.
Wow. Hey, everybody. I'm Dr. Pat. I get to do this fabulous show with Joan. I am her co-host, more or less a sidekick. And Joan, one of the things I'm excited about is today's episode, Untangled Relationships from Knots to Freedom. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we can say enough about relationships right now. Let's start with you. Why was this important? Let's just kind of rev this up for a minute. What did you see on your radar when you were thinking, oh my goodness, I have got to do a show on relationships?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I see, like, if you think about it, relationships transcend all parts of our lives, whether it's like a personal relationship, like a friendship, a romantic relationship. It can be even relationships with our jobs or careers, anything along those lines. And so I get a lot of clients that come into me with and their relationships are ending in some way, shape, or form, and they're feeling like they're lost and they don't know what to do. And so that it keeps coming up a lot. And so I was like, okay, it's a big part of we're all connected. And so, and of course, through that connection develops relationships. So that's why I want to talk about it today.
Yeah. And, I think what we're doing is we're also having a sense of how important relationships are. I think we've learned a lot in the past couple of years from, what's been working for us, what hasn't been working for us. But let's just start out with the question that I think you asked out of the gate. Are you ready to break free from untangled webs? Navigate relationship endings, embrace transformative journey. What if you can navigate relationship endings without disrupting your inner peace? This is where we want to really kind of dig in. So let's talk for a minute about how Untangled empowers people in these relationships to make these changes. What do you see from where you sit?
Yeah, I mean, I have some stories that I want to go through as well. But the one thing that I want to encourage you to or make you recognize is how like being tangled feels like a heavy weight that's weighing you down. And so by untangling that, like think of, I always go back to like the example of a necklace, right? And so like I'm wearing this necklace today, if this necklace, think about this necklace as like your life. If this necklace was tangled up and knotted and like with relationships issues, like you didn't feel good about how a relationship ended or something was just not there, like I wouldn't be able to wear this necklace and the beauty that and shine its beauty. So, and we talked a lot in past shows, we've talked a lot about that. And really what I want for my clients is to be able to untangle the knots in their necklaces so that they can live free and have peace and non-attachment with relationships. So really what I'd love to do, if it's okay, is to just kind of delve into like, so say you come to me, Dr. Pat, with like something's coming up for you. And so I want you to get a feel for how I set the environment for my clients so that they feel that it's safe to untangle that necklace. They want to pick it up. They want to wear it again. They want to shine its beauty. So, so that's really my goal, is to create a safe, non-judgmental space for you guys, for my clients. So, and one thing that I always do is I honor the fact and celebrate the fact that you showed up. That there's that you want to work, that there's something out there, that you have that knot. And so, if you're with me in my office, I play around with essential oils, and it's kind of fun because we also, there's some emotions tied with into essential oils, but we also like ground and breathe into that space because it is a sacred space. Like you and I have a sacred space right now that we're sharing with the world, but yet we have that connection. And, relationships are all about connections. And so that's what you hopefully feel when you come and you work with me. And this can be either virtually or face to face as well. And then I also have I don't think you can see them. I have all kinds of crystals around my office. I hold them all the time. And so, yeah. So I really want to talk to you about a client that had a relationship that was ending. That ended, and that how I helped guide her towards peace and non-attachment and untangling from that relationship. So kind of setting the stage from before is like she walked into the door, right? And that's the biggest piece that I think I'm so honored, like I said before, when you walk into that door, I'm so proud of you just for showing up and being there, right? And being ready to talk about something with me. So, and so this client came in and she was visibly upset. She had a friendship that had ended abruptly after 10 years. The friend was berating my client, told her all the things she disliked about her. And so what did we do? What the first thing we did, we talked about it, and I held space for her. I heard the hurt in her words. I held space for the tears, because you think about it. One thing that I also stress is that your issues stay in your tissues. I don't know if you've ever heard that saying, but so yes. So when I work with a client and I see them releasing some hurt, whether it's through tears, through words, writing, talking, screaming into my pillow, I don't care, jumping up and down, throwing a temper tantrum, whatever, I want them to do it. I even had somebody tell me this. I don't know if you've ever heard this strategy. I think it's a fun one though. If you ever get so completely frustrated, has anyone ever told you can take ice cubes and you can throw them in your shower or outside at a wall, because you're not going to hurt the ice cubes, they're going to melt and you're not going to create a mess. So anyways, those are just kind of some things that really what happens is I want those issues to start coming out, right? Because I don't want them to stay in their tissue. So we do anything we can to bring those issues out. And that's where the magic starts happening, because for my client, by talking about this, by bringing out the hurt, by bringing up the things, she was able to figure out why she was so upset. She felt like she was too much. She couldn't be her authentic self anymore. Wow. Yeah. Think about that in relationships. Like just tough. Somebody. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what you're talking about is, first of all, thank you for acknowledging that this is a tissue issue. And we now, all the studies really point to trauma being embedded in our tissues. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And, it is when you lose a best friend, I don't care how you think about it, mm-hmm. There's nothing more powerfully traumatic. That sounds like that's what your client was experiencing, right?
Yeah, it was trauma in her own sense, because then what does she starts doing? She starts blaming herself. She starts blaming others. Which, do we get into that victim mode? No, because really what I want my help to guide my clients to do is to take their power back, like empower them so that they can grow, they can learn from this, they can learn about themselves, and if they feel like they need to make changes or want to make changes in their thought patterns, their behaviors, their beliefs, then we can work on that. But yeah, because I don't know if my last two shows, I'm really big on, your beliefs are the foundation, because they lead to your thoughts, actions, behaviors, and create your reality. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, was there any time, Doc, like you can feel that hurt. And so like to bring that up, have you felt that before?
Absolutely. And what the good news is that I did go through that with my best friend. Mm-hmm. And the good news is that I was able to work it through and resolve it. And I can't imagine my life without my best friend today. but I didn't know. I didn't know if we'd be able to resolve it, but I can remember the feeling that you're referencing. It's very hard to describe, Joan. It's not like I could sit here and tell you it's one emotion. It was a range of emotions and loss and sadness and loneliness and so much more. And I think when you experience that, especially if you're in a place where you don't know if you're going to be able to reconcile, it doesn't go away. It's not like you wake up the next day and it's gone, Joan, right? No, it's not.
No, and that was the case with my client too. She had been trying to work through this on her own for months now, like almost like 6 months, but before, and she's like, why can't I get over that? And so, but when you start getting those issues out of your tissues and start talking about it, excuse me, then you really start getting like she was questioning who she was. She was questioning, like, is there something wrong with me? Like, I can't be. And what she also noticed, it was transcending everything. She was not being her authentic self. She felt like, her friend had told her she was too much. You're too much. And so that transcended into her family life, her work. She was doubting everything about who she was, and like, what do I need to do something? Why can't I, get over this? Right? Why can't I get through this? And so, yeah, I mean, and I do that a lot with my clients because, whether it's I've had college kids, young adults that are in college come in that are in toxic relationships with like roommates and stuff like that. Or, I mean, think about situations too that are, I mean, apart from romantic, even like your job or your career, that's a relationship, right? And so when that gets broken, right, and changed, I mean, think of all that
It's huge.
self-doubt.
It's
That
huge.
self-doubt.
Yeah. When I left my job after 24 and a half years, I left my identity in a sense. It's not like you are with a place or a person for a period of a time and you're unaffected by it, you're unchanged by it. And I think that's what we're going to talk about when we come back. When we come back, we're going to take a look at, what is it about ourselves? What is it about these relationships that get us tangled up? And then what? What do we do? What's next? What do we experience? What can we go through? How do we move beyond? Because these are the tools they don't teach us in school. Rarely do we learn them in life. And clearly, untangled and free is the way that you have to do it. Joan, before we go to break, what is the best way for people to find out more about you, especially if they're tangled up?
Yeah, absolutely. The best way to find out more about me is I encourage you to go to my website, Mindfulness with Joan. You can read about me and about what I do. There's also a option on there where you can schedule, and I highly suggest you schedule a 15-minute appointment with me that's free, because it's a relationship, a connection that we have, and I want to make sure it's a mutual, it's a good fit. Period. And so, because again, I want to make sure that you feel safe and you can be vulnerable and get those issues out of your tissues with me.
I love it. We're going to take a short break, everybody, a really short one. When we come back, we're going to talk about what it is that Joan emphasizes with her clients. How does she work with them? How does it happen when you go through this relationship so that you can have you can have a relationship ending? And it doesn't matter if it's with yourself, it's romantic, both men, women, it doesn't matter. When we come back, you're going to hear from Joan. Let's take a short break, everyone. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, welcome back. This is Untangled and Free with Joan. I'm Dr. Pat. I get to take this journey with Joan. And for those of you out there, this is a conversation about untangling relationships from knots to freedom. And it is one of these conversations that we usually want to we walk away. We don't know what to do. We walk away. But just because you walk away doesn't mean it's over. Joan, I think it's important for us to talk about what I said before the break. And then let's talk about you know, the relationships, untangle that relationships, the idea of working with someone, but also the idea of two people that are working with each other, right? So tell us about, you know, why this is important in the relationship and the coaching that you do with people.
Yeah, you know, I continually emphasize the word with when I'm working with my clients because it's a really important part of my practice and why I call myself a guide, because I provide that support and cultivate that sense of empowerment, because I don't do anything to my clients. I don't do anything for them. I do it with them. And if you can feel that difference, like I give the power back to them. So I don't know, have you ever seen that Brene Brown video on sympathy versus empathy? I'll describe it. I love it because they have somebody, a cartoon character sitting in a dark hole, just sitting there while silent. And they have this other cartoon character peeking in and going, okay, I'm going to go down. And basically they climb one way is they climb down and they like help them get up the ladder, like they get them out of the dark hole. And that's more like sympathy, where you're like doing it for them, right? But if you think about it versus if you have empathy and you're sitting and holding that space, and that cartoon character sits down and sits next to them and said, I hear you, I support you, what can I do, how can I support you? And you're next to them as like a guide, right? And you're like, okay, I'm going to walk this journey with you. And that is the reason why I like to use, and I always like that symbolism, walking with my clients. And so, yeah, that's, I love that video too. Yeah, like with Brene Brown, but it's a cute video, but it's very empowering to giving that power back to somebody.
Well, that is actually the difference, you know, when you're talking about what is coaching. And that's who you are. And what coaches do is they have to take the journey. Good coaches have to take the journey with their clients, because you're in a position where you're not just listening. This is not therapy. This is literally helping somebody, becoming a guidepost for them. And when you're in relationship conversations, it's important to be a trusted guidepost. And that's what I love about what you said. It's when you take the journey and you work with, or you walk with, it's important. But how do you do that? Give us a little sense of how that happens.
So I want to go back. So I was telling you the story about the client with that had ended that long friendship, and you know, and so a lot of times what I really ask for my clients, I'll ask of my clients, is the question is, well, what would you rather experience? Right? That's just a very open-ended question. Like, this is what you're currently experiencing, but what do you want? What would you want to experience? Because that helps determine what they desire, right? And so for that client, she wanted to be her authentic self in all situations, no matter what. She wanted to increase some self-awareness. She wanted to figure out, am I doing something that's not authentic? And am I too much? Am I putting on an act for others? And so that's when we started working. Okay, so now we're kind of that untangling. You can feel it happening, right? We're starting to get down to that root of that knot. And it's really what she wants. And she wanted to be able to be her authentic self in all situations, because that ending in that relationship took that power away from her. And so we started investigating. One tool that I have found very beneficial for my clients is, we always talk about journaling, right? And you journal down, and again, it's the issues, the issues coming out of your tissues, right, onto paper. And so have you ever written in your journal and then recorded yourself reading it so that you can hear the words that were going through your head?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many times where either that, or if you don't journal, just record your thoughts and then hear them, because what you're saying in your own mind about yourself is profound. Because a lot of times what's going through your mind is that what I think about myself, or is that what's going through my head? And you don't know it because you may not hear it.
No. And, you know, part of this too is the way that you hear your say something to yourself inside your mind, and versus saying it out loud. When you say it out loud, it has a different punch.
Oh,
Yeah.
different
And you
energy.
can't hide from it. See, we can
Mm-mm.
hide from self-deprivation. We can hide from those negative things that go on in our mind a little bit, right?
Right.
But when you say them out loud and you talk about the things that are really bothering you and you write in a journal, it is profoundly different. Tell me a little bit about, what is the uptake on this? What do people discover about who they are in relationships? What do you do to help your clients do that?
Yeah. So what I do with them is that so even when we're talking and I'm actively listening to them, I may write down some key words and key phrases that they say over and over to herself. Like this client kept saying, I'm just too much. I'm just too much. I'm just too much. And I am not good the way I am. Like I need to change everything about me. And so we can't, once you become aware of those, that's like a key, because then you know that they're there. And so then we start sitting with those emotions, right? There's a great exercise that I use by Tara Brach. It's called RAIN. That's an acronym for you, where you recognize, you allow, investigate, and nurture your emotions. So again, versus shoving them all down and just sit, having them in your tissues, we sit with them together. And so we do that. And then I think I give every single one of my clients, there's this great document from Tiny Buddha, which I highly recommend reading, but it is 15 things. I have it right here because I have it in my office, of course. 15 things you can't control and what you can control again. So yeah, I'm just going to read you a couple of these. You can't control whether other people like you. You can control how true you are to yourself. So that's one. And you can't control how other people treat you, but you can control how you internalize and respond to their treatment. So those are key things that, like, if you start recognizing that, what can you control? It comes down to controlling. You're taking that power back when you're controlling the things that you can control, versus the things you can't control how other people see you either, but you can control how you show up and how you are yourself, your authentic self. So that's what we start doing with my clients. What about writing letters? We write letters that are unsent, right? And so we get to the root of the knots, really. And then we come up the actions. A lot of times it does come in this client's, in this scenario, it came down to a subconscious, one of her goals of being her authentic self and her subconscious mind, they weren't in alignment. So we did that belief change that I am good enough just the way I am. And that, bringing that into her whole being, because that's what the belief change does, helped move her forward and untangle that knot. And so, a lot of people ask me, like, how do I know that knot's untangled, right? Like, I'm sure, like, how do you know you have success with your clients, right? I don't know if I have success. They do, because they're the ones that know when the knot's untangled. And that's completely different. You see where their power is? Like they know what they want. So for this client, she was able to go to a big party where this friend that was there was going to be at. She had an entry strategy and exit strategy, and she was able to be at that party. She was able to be, and she was able, the most important thing, she was able to be herself. And
that's huge, though.
Yeah. And that's success for her.
Yeah, that's success all around. Because, what we're talking about is somebody that was completely isolated, didn't think enough about herself, probably would have been restricted. So this is really for so many to understand that you have lost your freedom unless you get untangled. Joan, thank you for today. Please let people know how to find out more about you. And what's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
Sure. I want you to go to my website. That's the easiest way. I'm going to say it again, Mindfulness with Joan. It's a pretty easy website. And then just schedule a 15-minute, it's free. Schedule 15 minutes with me and we'll talk and we'll figure out like how I can help support and guide you. So what I really want to leave with you is that we're all human. We're all connected. We all have knots. Yeah, I have many still in me, but I want you to reach out to me when you want something different. When you're currently experiencing something and you ask yourself, what would I rather experience? And you don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
That's where it is, because once you figure out what that is and you untangle that knot, you have the freedom to live with peace, love, joy, abundance, and you can live untangled and free. So just, yeah, that's the message of like, you're not alone. We're all connected and we can untangle those knots together.
I love it. Thank you so much, Joan. Thank you for everything.
Mhm.
And moving forward, I mean, people should know that they can work with you on a whole range of things.
Mhm.
So I think that's important. I mean, your coaching practice spans beyond relationships. You've done many shows about it,
Mhm.
especially talking about beliefs, emotions, how to pull it all together. Thank you so much for all that you do. And thank you for helping so many people in the world recognize that they are enough.
They are. You are
Thank
good
you.
enough.
Thank you, everybody. Joan Gilbert, thank you for tuning us in and turning us on. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Thanks for watching Untangled and Free with Joan on transformationtalkradio.com as Joan guides you on a pathway to experience the freedom to live an untangled life of peace, love, joy, abundance, and more. Discover how your internal knots weigh you down and stop you from moving forward. Get ready to untangle your limiting beliefs, discover your best self, and achieve the freedom you deserve. For more info, be sure to visit mindfulnesswithjoan.com and schedule a session to get untangled today.